Hey again all. It's been a while since I made a tutorial now. So I thought I would do one today on making a thruster kind of thing for well, flying map or whatever you want. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one button. When you push it, a unit's going to start moving and it's going to move faster and faster, and then when you release it, it's going to slow down slowly until it comes to a halt. I've got some messages about this thing, so I decided to make a tutorial out of it. All I've done so far to this map is clear out all the triggers. I added the Phoenix to the map for player 1, and I put the speed of the Phoenix in the data editor to 1. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into behaviors, add objects, so Phoenix speed buff. So just it's going to be a buff. Your data editor might look different. You might have the new look. You can click up here to change between the views. So if you prefer this new look, you can use that. I like the old one. I find it easier to find things here. First of all, I'm gonna go to flags and I'm gonna check hidden so it doesn't show up on the unit. Then I'm gonna go to modification and movement, and I'm going to set the acceleration to 1.2 and the movement speed multiplier to 1.2. So I'm going to go here and maximum stack count. I'm going to set it to 15. Be careful not to set this too high. If you have it up in the hundreds, things don't always work. Sometimes it kind of bugs up the unit and you can't move it anymore and so on. Anyway, that's all I'm going to set in here. So this buff we can apply to a unit and we can stack it up, and it will increase the speed more and more the more times it's stacked. I'm also going to do, I'm going to do one more thing just so we can see that it stacks. I'm going to go in to the unit here, I think it is, and live armor bonus of 1, so that we can count the armor bonus for the unit to see how many stacks we have. So now we have to create the triggers for this. I'm going to add some variables first. Thruster on and triggers running. I'm just doing this for a single player unit because I can't be arsed to set it up for multiplayer right now. I'm sure if you've seen my other tutorials, you should be comfortable by now by setting up stuff for multiple players, just using arrays instead of just single variables like I'm doing. So these two are going to be boolean and start on false. So now we need some triggers. Thruster on, I'm not organizing my map either because I'm a bit lazy here. This is just going to be a quick tutorial. Event, we're going to need to get the button key press. Key is going to be W for me and W down. Then we should check. Actually, first we should set variable. We're going to set thruster on to true. And then we're going to check if the trigger is running. Trigger is running. If that's equal to false, as in it's not running, I'm going to add my wrong button. I'm going to add an action definition thruster. Then I'm going to run my thruster trigger here. I'm just going to duplicate this and make this one off, and it's going to flip this to false. Don't need this, and key state up. So when you release the button, it gets set to false. So all we have to call then is this thruster trigger. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set the variable that trigger is running. I'm going to set that to true. Then I'm going to do a while here. While thruster is on, so our variable thruster on equals true. So when the thruster, while the button is pushed down, we're going to, first of all, we're going to calculate, going to need a variable here. move distance. First of all, we're going to add the behavior. Add one behavior. Our Phoenix speed buff to unit is our variable, the Phoenix, and caster is going to be, alright, it's going to be the unit itself. You could also set this to be a player if you want. Okay, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to do a set variable for our move distance. And the reason I do this is so I can get it to slow down nicely. You'll see why when you try the map. So we're gonna get, there's a stack count of behavior on unit. So we're gonna take the stack count of the Phoenix speed buff on our unit, and we're gonna divide it by 2. This way, when we now issue our order to move the unit, the unit will not move so far if you just tap the button. If you just set this to 7 straight off, or something like that, a high number, if you just tap the button, the unit will be crawling forward. Or their targeting point, sorry. Unit will be crawling forward while you're in slow-mo speed, and you probably don't want that. You want it to just move forward if they hold down the button for a bit, and then you want it to slowly halt, depending on what speed it's at already. So what am I doing here? Target point is going to be polar offset, point with polar offset. The point is obviously going to be that we're starting at. It's going to be the position of our unit. Sorry, I get a bit sidetracked when I talk about one thing and code something else. Distance is going to be our variable. We need to convert it from integer to real. So we're going to convert it up here. Move distance. And the angle is going to be the facing of our unit, face angle of unit. I'm not going to implement the turning buttons, but you can do that yourself. You can rotate the angle that the unit is facing and so on to turn the unit. So this should now actually work to move the unit. When we press on W, it will stack up this buff. However, we obviously want to remove it again after it's done, after you release W. So after this if, I'm going to set trigger is running to false. You'll see why in a moment. Then we're going to add a new while. I'm just going to copy this one up. It's not going to be thruster on. It is going to be stack count of behavior on unit, or you can just use the unit has behavior. It doesn't matter.